All right, everybody, I'm going to try to go through the review for our quadratics. Go pretty quickly through it. So we've got an equation here. This one is in standard form. If we're going to find the x-intercepts, we could either use the quadratic formula or try to factor it. I usually try to factor it for about 1 minute before I go to the quadratic formula. This one, I feel like there's only a few possibilities to check, because 3x times x will make 3x squared. So it's either going to be 1 times 5 or 5 times 1. I'll try 5 and 1. If I do that, I've got 5x and 3x. So I need it to be positive 5x and negative 3x, and that all works out. So now I know my x-intercepts are negative 5 over 3 or positive 1, and those are the same answers you're going to get using the quadratic formula. To find the vertex in standard form, you just go negative b over 2a, 2 times 3, so that's negative 2 over 6. It's also the same answer you'd get if you added your two x-intercepts and divided by 2. That's the x value of the vertex. So if I plug that in, and I would just use a calculator on this to plug it in. I can show you this part once this puppy boots up. So 3, and I have my negative 2/6, which obviously I could reduce that, but maybe on a test you might not realize, oh, that's actually a fraction I could reduce. I plugged it in, I got negative 5.333. So just look carefully at how I use the parentheses. And so the y value of the vertex is negative 5.3. That's the y value of the vertex. The y-intercept is negative 5. So if we're drawing a sketch of the graph, it's not going to be pretty with the screenwriter here, but we'll do what we can. So negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a negative 5 is the y-intercept. The vertex is right there at negative 2/6, negative 1/3, comma, negative 5.3. The x-intercepts are at 1 and at negative 5/3, which is just right about there. And then it's a pretty steep looking parabola from there. Please double check by just typing it into your y equals button and double checking that it looks correct. All right, so that's a standard form example. Number 2 is a factored form example. The x-intercepts just come from finding what makes each set of parentheses equal 0. So negative 4 plus 4 is 0, and positive 3 minus 3 is 0. The vertex is going to be halfway between those, so if I add them up, I get negative 1. That's not halfway in between, but if I divide that by 2, that gives me the x value of the vertex. Negative 1/2 is 3.5 steps away from both of the x-intercepts. Now I'm going to just plug that in for both of the x's. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So please look. Just replace the letter x with negative 1, divide by 2. Okay, and I think I even typed it in right. And that gives me the y value of the vertex, which is just 24.5. The y-intercept is when you plug in 0 for both your x's. You could probably do that in your head, or you can just type it in with zeros replacing the x's and get 24. 24. Again, I'm going to draw a sketch. It's not going to be pretty. So we have an x-intercept at 1, 2, 3. We have an x-intercept at negative 4. 1, 2, 3, negative 4. We have a vertex where x is negative 1/2 and y is really high. So I'm just going to label that as negative 1/2, comma, 24.5. The y-intercept is right next door to that anyway, and it just swoops down from there. So on the test, take a little bit more care to count it out more accurately than that. But when I'm just writing on my screen, it's hard to get it to be more precise. All right, last one of these graphing ones. What form is this equation in? It's in vertex form. X-intercepts means I got to figure out what makes it equal 0. So I just going to use my equation solving skills. Set the equation equal to 0 and start undoing stuff. Opposite of -2. Then I'm going to do the opposite of times 2. So x plus 3 squared is 1. Then I'm going to do the opposite of squared, which is the square root. So I get a positive 1 as one of the square roots, and I get a negative 1 as the other square root. And then solving for x means subtracting 3. So I get -2, and I get -4. The vertex is right there in the problem. -3 is the x value, -2 is the y value. The y-intercept, I'd probably just plug 0 in to my calculator. So it looks like that. And I have everything I need to draw a sketch. All right, -3, -2 is like right about there. -4, -2 for those, and 16 for the y-intercept. Boop de boop, something like that. Okay, so that looks pretty decent. All right, so there we go. All right, so that's just reviewing how to graph things, and I'll do the rest of the review in some other videos so they don't get too long. So just focused on the graphing.